My daughter's name is Nature. My mom named her. I was a young mom. She was bubbly, she was happy, she was loving towards people, and I was so glad that I got to enjoy that part of her.
My brother Joel, he was a character, as many are from the north. He had always had friends around. He was a likable guy right from the start. I've always heard stories of when he was a little boy, how, people would always say hello to him, or he'd want to talk to people, and, he was always cheeky. That was Joel, right there. And he'd go out with him.
Remember we used to go to your mom's house when we were kids, and we'd get like popcorn buckets and we'd fill it up with everything we could find in the fridge.
I remember that.
Try to see who could get through eating it.
It was like Fear Factor.
Yeah, pretty much.
When my daughter came along, he was definitely Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck, who made the big pancakes and did the crazy things to make his niece laugh.
If I go with the teaching of our nation or other nation across Turtle Island, we were stars. We were in the sky and we choose the parent, and I choose my mom and my dad without knowing that I would right away face discrimination, racism, and segregation when I was born. So it's not something I choose. I think I was born within this injustice, racism, and discrimination. The first breath of my life until today, it is something that I work with, but it's always there. I wanted to be part of the change, so still today, it's something that I will walk with for the rest of my life.
After a loved one goes missing or is murdered, families can experience pain, trauma, and feelings of powerlessness. They weather the storm to find answers and get support.
There's many of us that are in a place where we're okay and we're strong enough to get through this and to fight. And I just want that for all. I just want all our people to feel that way. We're still trying to survive, and all that trauma we've been through bleeds into our everyday. We all share that, but it does not have to define us.
Not caring what the words have done to you.
For decades, families and advocates, including Senator Michelle Audette and Stephanie Harp, among many others, pushed for changes to legislation and services to support families. A key focus has been systemic change to end violence against Indigenous people.
She did struggle with addictions. She was in and out. And then she would have good spurts, lots of good spurts. Her typical bad day was suffering with depression and trying to resist going back into that lifestyle. And she did really good for the longest time. She was clean for 33 months. But from September till April, there was a very severe struggle. But yet she still remained lovable, just caught up into addictions and not having the proper available help to help her come through. I really did not know that she was missing till her friend phoned me. She would usually phone every day, but there were some days that she didn't, but she would always text me. But that night was really strange, and she had private messaged me to tell me she loves me. She asked for pictures of her babies and wanted me to send them. And she just, I told her, you need help, I can come get you. And And she goes, no, just know that I love you forever.
He liked to be the life of the party. He liked to go out and enjoy himself. It's just, he didn't know how to quit. He didn't know when it was time to stop or when it was too much. He would normally call everybody New Year's Eve, or right when it was midnight. He'd call friends, he'd call family to say Happy New Year. And so that was strange, not hearing from him. But we kept thinking, okay, well, he's just having a good time. We were still very hopeful we were going to find him, and he was in a house somewhere, you know, where he was too high to be able to call anyone. And so it was that evening. My mom was here in Stony Plain with me. She was here visiting me with my new baby. And she went to the police station and got on the phone outside and said that she needed to report my brother missing. When the investigation process first started, they took down all the information that they could, and they said that they would go into the community and see where they could find him. He was at that house party with a handful of people, and from the information that was given about him there is that he just up and walked out of the house and left in the middle of the night when they were partying. And so we don't know what really happened. We searched that area multiple times. We searched far into the bush. We searched all over Slave Lake.
My cookum was murdered before I was born. And so I never was given the opportunity to meet her. And I think just knowing that, you know, it bothered me. And I was part of Sisters in Spirit presentation back in 2008. And it was there that I realized that it doesn't matter what type of lifestyle you have, what age you are, you're a target.
La violence coloniale. Colonial violence? Ouais. The root cause. It's transversal. It's everywhere. And from that colonial violence was more evident or inside the legislation or policy or action to make sure that we kill the Indian within the child with residential school.
Residential schools in the Indian Act continue to contribute to intergenerational and historic trauma that impacts Indigenous people and communities today. In 2015, after over 50 years of advocacy, a national inquiry for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls was approved and funded by the federal government. Senator Michelle Audette was a commissioner on the inquiry.
2,000 and plus family members were able to tell their stories and also order us, I would say, on the other end, what would be the most efficient recommendation that we call for justice.
The following words are quoted from the final report of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. Today we honor and remember the memory of all missing and murdered Métis, First Nations and Inuit women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. You are taken, but you are not forgotten. Your lives, dreams, hopes, and losses are now forever a part of Canada's living history. We want to thank the families who shared their painful truths, knowledge, wisdom, experiences, and expertise. We honor your strength, your courage, and perseverance in seeking justice and healing for the loss of your grandmothers, your mothers, your sisters, your aunties, daughters, nieces, cousins, and friends.
When you study about historically what colonization, assimilation, and even residential school banned our culture, our languages, traditions, and values. We need to reclaim those, and teach the younger generation, even the men, to reclaim their roles they lost. Rocks are so incredible, They make us, they heal us on our journey, and they make us stronger once we learn the teachings,
The root cause are the same, residential school, racism, la violence coloniale. But how the system respond or doesn't respond, we see a difference. And when we see also how the homicide or how the person or the brother or the son or the husband died or the man, it's not the same on how the women. There's a difference there. And when we launched the national inquiry, many groups came to us and say, why don't you add the men? And I thought it was so important that we do, but it was refused. But I still believe that it's something we need to understand and we need to know why, so we can propose strategy or action or program and project to make sure that we respond to this difference. In our region, our community is slowly making that shift or that change. I remember when I left the Quebec Native Women in 2004, I said we seem to forget our brothers and sisters, the Two-Spirit community and family.
Indigenous, 2S LGBTQ, women and men all experience colonial violence. However, the intersections of identities results in different treatment and experiences based on gender, sexuality, race, age, and ability.
Depending on the family and when they decide to approach the Family Information Liaison Unit, we could be helping them right from the beginning. We've come in the middle, and we've also come in at the end, or it was a historical file. So we've come in to help the family reconnect with police services, whether it's municipal or RCMP, and also with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
I got in contact with Filu, and Filu was really helpful. But in the same time, it was hard because you're not sure on how to focus yourself because you're so devastated because you're not getting I wasn't getting any answer from my daughter, and so I was panicking.
That's her and her little guy.
I did show up at the police station a few times. He listened really well, and he even came out to my home.
The constable on my brother's file was very responsive, very supportive. He did a lot of interviews and conversations with my mother and checked in with her and kept her up to date. When someone goes missing, I believe that RCMP, as well as family members, rely heavily on the public to be able to bring forward information. And so it was recommended that we talk about my brother and share his photos on social media. We asked about a page. They said it was completely up to us, and so that's when we decided we'll make a page, and hopefully it gets out there more. We take every bit of information seriously, and we write it down, and we do keep that, because you never know if it's going to come up again. I know for myself I wasn't prepared for it to take so long. I thought, okay, we're going to get my brother's picture out, social media, and he's going to find out that everyone's looking for him, and he's going to call. We thought it would just be a couple of days at most.
It's really difficult to live in this ambiguity, wondering what happened and wondering, did I have a part in that? When the person called me the last time, should I have let them come over? And then every time you're driving, looking for faces, it takes up a lot of time, and it's hard. It's the ambiguity around the loss, not knowing, having unanswered questions, and no one can answer those questions until such time that the person is found. But this could be for years and years. Sometimes there's no closure.
I never did see a missing persons report till after we had our funeral. But there was a file number made. I still have questions on that one, why there was no picture in an actual missing persons report. And I put her picture on Facebook, and it went everywhere. It was hard to even know who you should communicate with, because our situation is a little bit different because we didn't tell any family. We knew she was gone. We were told on the 25th of April she was murdered. We didn't tell any family. And so we grieved in silence for 8 days, knowing that we had family and friends out there still looking for her, so they can do what they have to do, because they needed to be able to catch who's doing that, like who's murdering people. We did let them know that we need to tell the family because it's getting dangerous for them to be out there looking for her when we know that she's not there. And we'd like to start our grieving process because I think we're all in shock here. And so he understood where we were in that, and they put out a news report on the 3rd of May.
Often, if families do not hear from the police, it can be due to the ongoing investigation process. Families can ask for updates at any time by calling the officer assigned to their case.
My mother was murdered and taken from us in 1999, so I was just 20 years old, not even 20 years old. I was not okay. I went into a deep, dark place. My mom's murder case, the last man who was tried to kill her in another province, and he stalked her across the country. He was the last person to be with her, and she's found at the bottom of the stairs with trauma to her head, but he didn't do it, you know? A lot of families are just dealing with it the best they know how, with what they know, but they just don't know what's available to them. We still need to collaborate on resources a lot more and simplify that, knowing that they don't have the supports or the love, the attention, the resources, the extra hand, the extra heart that they need. And for myself, what I went through, and not knowing the truth until I was older, it all made sense to me what was happening to me. And I want that for all Indigenous people to understand.
My nephew, he was missing for a few years. And I thought, yeah, I have to have him reported, you know, because I wanted to know where he was at, because nobody knew where he was at. Nobody heard from him. We always used to hear from him. He had a difficult journey. I cannot give up. Hopefully he's alive somewhere, and if he's not, I can't give up my power to that either. I have to go through the healing ceremony and everything, because I love him.
Families often experience challenges navigating the justice system. They cope with grief and loss while trying to get information, search for their loved one, and go through the investigation process. There are supports that can help, such as the Family Information Liaison Unit, Victim Services, supports through Residential School Health Support Program, and other community organizations and advocacy groups.
The day I was called by my cousin that our little niece, she was 12 years old, disappeared, the world stopped. And the love from family members, the love from survivors, and how do we connect, who do we call, and what do we do? And it was wow. When I saw the circle with the family members, when they were supporting each other or understanding, it was the best medicine. It was powerful. Healing, what it means to me, it means crying, yelling, talking, observing, laughing. There's many things for me healing. Beating is a way for me for healing. Healing also, it's very personal, so I not impose, you must do, I do this or take this. No. And healing, it's also love, big love.
Healing for me means being in a good place spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and sleeping well, being positive, enjoying the things you're doing, enjoying being outside, enjoying being at work, enjoying being with people, and being able to do the things that I need to do each day, and resting well, exercising well, and again, my self-care plan. I can't stress enough, I have a self-care plan in place, and I go towards people that are positive. You know, I go out in my flower bed and I talk to my flowers. I purposely put things in my place and in my yard that will bring me happiness.
I find most of my supports through friends and family. I smudge a lot. I pray to Creator a lot. My biggest supports are my kids. They help me through the tough days. It's not always easy being a happy mom that can do everything, because I carry a lot of sadness and a lot of pain every day. But when my daughters, when they smile, when they show me something new that they've learned or something that they've done or created, it does make the days easier. I find my happiness through them, through their happiness.
Everybody is gifted with that sacred water. If we're overwhelmed with pain and hurt and anger, whatever the emotion is, and we want to cry, and if we just allow ourselves to cry and that tears come down, we always feel a little bit better after, because it's released, you know? So the kids were taught that crying is a ceremony. Little children are so wise. If we just watch and we listen to little kids, we're going to learn all that. There are little elders, they're teaching us.
I didn't heal until after I had found love. I connected to someone who was full of love and healthy and just saw through everything and wanted to love me. I just wanted to start living and not surviving anymore. Love did inspire me to heal. And then the kids just made it even better. At first it was self-realization. It's like, okay, I'm at this place of peace. Here I am in this loving home. Here I am surrounded by loving people. I'm safe. I'm okay. I still suffer. And, but not as much, you know. There was too much goodness and love there. So it wasn't as much, but it was still there. And I thought, okay, well, I need to go talk to someone. I need to reach out to someone, you know. So I found a great, wonderful elder, and was just so positive and just gifted me that. And I also had the support of a great counselor. You know, I love to spend time here in my work studio. I'm writing new songs right now. I've got a new album that's being created. It's reconnecting to my true human spirit, you know, my true human potential. Sisters' identities, what they steal, all these people in prison.
It's hard to talk about the good times you have with your loved ones, but it's important that we do, you know, even the bad times when we lose our loved ones, or we're going through a difficult journey. If we pray and connect to our culture and use the ceremony, we're going to be on that wellness journey. It's not going to solve everything right away, but we get better and better and better. It may take a long time sometimes, you know. It will eventually get there.
I don't know if I will truly heal in that area, but I just learned to cope and manage better and try to make things enjoyable again. Last year I went to Ewaton in Calgary and met a beautiful group of ladies there, and it was a really good healing process. We had a time of prayer, time of sharing. We made a ribbon skirt in honor of my daughter. I had a hard time dealing with that hurt, so I had to dig deeper. And so in the process, I took my certificates in trauma and grief and loss and suicide. At that time, I needed to help myself on how to get myself going again. Sometimes I spend a lot of time journaling and playing music and doing a lot of processing with crafts. We can't change what has happened, but we have to be able to know how to manage.
It's good when I get outside and I ground myself and I let the fresh air be in my space and the sun touching my skin. That helps. I hope that we find him. I hope that someone comes forward. I hope that we get to bring my brother home and have a proper send-off and goodbye to him. If something happened to him, if someone did something to him, I want justice to be served.
One of my teachings is that we are buffaloes and we're going through a very big storm. But as buffaloes, they never run from a storm. They'll run through it. And we are running through that storm right now. And eventually we will get to the other end and there will be our sunshine. And that is my hope, is that that sunshine will be the blessing for all of our people.